Every single one of us is born with undeniable human rights. These are not gifts bestowed upon us, they are our inherent birthright, fundamental to our very existence. The right to be free, the right to live without fear, the right to be treated with dignity and respect. These are the very foundations upon which a just and compassionate world must be built. We all deserve to live a life where our intrinsic worth is recognized, cherished, and protected by everyone around us, in every community, in every nation. This is a profound truth that should echo in every corner of our global society, a fundamental understanding that guides every interaction and shapes how we treat one another. This unwavering belief in human dignity is what should bind us all together as one human family. Yet, we live in a complex world where the unthinkable can and does happen. A world where profound darkness can sometimes seek to overshadow the brilliant light of our shared humanity. There are individuals who choose to inflict unimaginable suffering upon others, treating fellow human beings as less than they are, as objects to be used and discarded. These acts are not merely crimes defined by laws. They are deep, grievous wounds inflicted upon the collective soul of humanity. A terrible betrayal of everything we should aspire to stand for as compassionate beings. It is a painful and challenging reality to confront, knowing that such calculated cruelty can exist alongside so much inherent goodness and potential for love in the world. These actions strip away dignity, destroy lives, and leave behind trails of unimaginable devastation, challenging our faith in basic human decency. Today, we must summon the courage to turn our faces directly towards some of the most horrifying of these crimes: the enduring evil of slavery, the insidious web of human trafficking, and the absolutely abhorrent act of murder for the trade in body parts. These are not just abstract terms or distant concepts. They represent real people, real lives, dreams and futures shattered by unimaginable greed, callous indifference, and profound cruelty. Slavery, in its modern forms, continues to chain people in bondage. Human trafficking cunningly steals their precious freedom and their hope for the future. The illegal organ trade reduces human life to a mere collection of spare parts, a commodity to be bought and sold. Understanding these atrocities is the critical first step toward confronting them effectively, toward collectively declaring no more. Why do we need to talk about such profoundly painful and disturbing subjects? We talk about them because silence is the soil in which these horrors grow and fester, allowing them to continue their destructive paths unchecked. Knowledge, as we all know, is power. Understanding the mechanics, the motivations, and the devastating impact of these crimes empowers each of us to take meaningful action. It helps us to recognize the subtle and overt signs of exploitation, to offer support to the victims and survivors, and to demand more robust and effective change from our leaders, our institutions, and our communities. We all have a moral responsibility, every single one of us, to educate ourselves and to stand resolutely against these egregious violations of fundamental human dignity. This is not just about them, the victims far away. It's about the kind of world we all want to create and live in. So, what exactly is slavery in our modern world, here in 2025? It's crucial to understand that this is not merely a relic of a bygone era, a dark chapter confined to history books that we have long since closed. Slavery today, right now, means one human being exerting complete and often brutal control over another. It means forcing individuals to work tirelessly without any real pay, often under the most inhumane and degrading conditions imaginable. Victims are treated as if they are property, bought and sold like commodities, with their basic human rights utterly and systematically denied. They possess no freedom to leave their situation, no voice to protest their mistreatment, their very existence meticulously dictated by the whims and demands of their enslavers. This horror can happen on farms, in factories, within private homes, often hidden in plain sight. Human trafficking is another insidious and deeply disturbing crime, a contemporary form of slavery that frequently involves intricate webs of deception, manipulation, and coercion. Traffickers, who are often part of organized criminal networks, prey on the vulnerable, individuals facing poverty, discrimination, or instability. They lure their targets with false promises of good jobs, educational opportunities, loving relationships, or a significantly better life elsewhere. Once these individuals are trapped, ensnared by lies and false hopes, they are forced into various forms of exploitation, including grueling forced labor, sexual exploitation, or other types of servitude against their will. They might be moved across international borders or trafficked within their own countries, deliberately isolated from their families, friends, and any potential support systems, making escape incredibly difficult. Then there is the gruesome and almost unbelievable reality of murder for body parts, often referred to as the illegal organ trade or organ harvesting. This is an atrocity where human beings are targeted and killed, their vital organs forcibly removed without any consent to be sold on a clandestine black market for illicit and unregulated transplants. It's a crime driven by a desperate global demand for organs, often fueled by long transplant waiting lists, and the immense, obscene profits that can be made from such a heinous trade. The victims are frequently among the poorest and most marginalized members of society, those whose disappearance might initially go unnoticed or uninvestigated, making them easier targets for these predatory criminals. This practice reduces a human being to nothing more than a mere collection of organs. What binds these terrible and distinct acts of cruelty together is a fundamental, chilling disregard for the sanctity of human life and inherent human dignity. In each and every one of these cases, whether it is slavery, human trafficking, or organ harvesting, people are treated as objects, as mere tools for someone else's personal or financial gain. They are exploited for their labor, for sexual gratification, or, horrifyingly, for their very body parts. Their humanity is systematically stripped away. Their inalienable rights are trampled upon without a second thought, and their spirits are often crushed under the weight of such profound abuse and betrayal. These crimes thrive in secrecy, in the shadows, and they prey on vulnerability, profiting immensely from the unimaginable suffering and exploitation of others. Why are these crimes so profoundly and uniquely evil? It is because they steal so much more than just a person's time, their labor, or their physical possessions. They steal a person's very soul, their intrinsic sense of self-worth, their trust in the basic goodness of humanity, and their hope for a brighter future. The physical torment endured by victims is often horrific, involving violence, deprivation, and constant threats. But the psychological wounds, the invisible scars etched deep within their minds and hearts, can last an entire lifetime, lingering painfully long after any physical chains have been broken or freedom has been regained. Imagine living in a state of constant paralyzing fear, being subjected to daily violence and degradation, and having every single choice, every aspect of your life, dictated by another. Consider for a moment a young woman, perhaps from a remote village, filled with dreams and aspirations. Let us call her Priya. She is promised a wonderful, well-paying job as a nanny or a caregiver in a wealthy, faraway city. Her hopeful family, believing this is her chance for a better life, perhaps even pools together their meager savings to pay for her travel and alleged recruitment fees. But when Priya arrives at her destination, her passport is immediately confiscated by her employers. She finds herself forced to work grueling 18-hour days without any pay, locked inside a house, and subjected to physical and verbal abuse if she dares to complain or slow down. This is not a story from centuries ago. This is a stark reality of modern slavery that unfolds daily across the globe. Or picture a young boy, maybe a teenager, who is passionate about online gaming. He is gradually befriended online by an older individual who showers him with attention and promises him an incredible opportunity to join a professional gaming team or attend an exclusive tournament. This friend eventually arranges to meet him in person. However, instead of a gateway to his dreams, the boy is abducted and trafficked into a horrific exploitation ring, where his innocence is brutally shattered and his childhood is irrevocably stolen. His distraught family searches for him relentlessly, their lives torn apart by an agonizing combination of worry, guilt, and profound grief, never knowing if they will ever see their beloved child again. Human trafficking doesn't just harm the individual victim, it mercilessly rips families apart. The impact these crimes have on individuals, their families, and even their wider communities is truly devastating and can cast a long, dark shadow that spans generations. Survivors often battle severe and complex trauma, including post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic depression, debilitating anxiety, and a profound sense of alienation. Rebuilding a life after enduring such an extended ordeal is an immense and often lonely struggle, requiring incredible personal courage, resilience, and extensive, compassionate support systems. Families experience a maelstrom of emotions, profound grief for what their loved one has endured, overwhelming guilt, consuming anger, and often a deep sense of helplessness. The fabric of trust within communities can also be severely eroded when such pervasive evils are allowed to take root and flourish. But even when we are confronted by such overwhelming darkness, it is so important to remember that there is also a powerful and growing global response. All around the world, countless brave individuals, dedicated activists, and tireless organizations are working with unwavering commitment to prevent these crimes, to protect the vulnerable, and to bring perpetrators to justice. International laws and conventions, such as the United Nations Palermo Protocol, provide essential frameworks for countries to criminalize human trafficking, to prosecute offenders, and to ensure the rights and protection of victims are upheld. Law enforcement agencies globally are increasingly developing specialized units and techniques to investigate these complex, often transnational criminal enterprises, and to dismantle the networks that profit from human misery. Non-governmental organizations are often on the very front lines. Different countries across the globe are indeed stepping up their efforts, although this fight requires constant vigilance, sustained resources, and far greater international collaboration to be truly effective. Some nations have significantly strengthened their domestic anti-trafficking and anti-slavery legislation, increased their border security measures to intercept traffickers and identify victims, and launched extensive public awareness campaigns. These campaigns aim to educate citizens about the various forms of modern slavery and trafficking, how to recognize the warning signs of exploitation in their own communities, and where to report suspicious activities. International cooperation is absolutely essential because these heinous crimes often transcend national borders, with traffickers and criminal organizations operating sophisticated global networks that are adept at exploiting legal loopholes and jurisdictional challenges. We all have a vital part to play in this critical global endeavor. It truly starts with caring, with consciously opening our hearts and our minds to the profound suffering of others, even when their realities seem distant from our own. The victims of these atrocities are not mere statistics to be quoted in reports. They are unique individuals, each with their own stories, their own dreams, their own families, and an undeniable, inalienable right to a life free from fear, violence, and exploitation. We must make a conscious effort to educate ourselves and those around us about these issues. Learn to recognize the often subtle warning signs of trafficking and slavery that might be present in our own neighborhoods, workplaces, or online interactions. We can support organizations that are making a tangible difference. And so, I want to leave you today with a powerful and enduring message of hope. Yes, these crimes against humanity are indeed monstrous, representing some of the darkest aspects of human behavior. However, humanity's collective capacity for good, for profound courage, for unwavering compassion, and for resilient solidarity is even greater and far more powerful. By working together, side by side, by raising our voices to speak out against injustice, by refusing to look away from uncomfortable truths, and by demanding accountability, we absolutely can build a world where slavery, trafficking, and the abhorrent trade in human lives are finally relegated to the darkest pages of history books. Let us all strive, with renewed determination, to make our shared world a significantly safer, much kinder, and more just place for every single person, now and for all generations to come.